Hello, welcome back to the Dash 2 podcast. I am Logan. We are here with Tuc today.
What's up, boys?
And we're about to break down the Chicago Blackhawks. Last year, Chicago Blackhawks had a pretty dog shit season, 31st in the league, with a record of 23, 53, and 6 for a big total of 52 points on the year. It was basically an AHL team that they were putting out there, so not too surprised by that. Kyle Davidson is going into his fourth year as GM, and then Luke Richardson is going into his second year as head coach. Tuc, you want to get it going?
Yeah, obviously, not much high expectations going into last year other than the Beadsy show, and what a show that was. I mean, the kid's a fucking absolute stud. I'll be completely honest. Knew the kid was good, but I didn't think he was all that. And watching him last year, I was like, holy shit, this kid's fucking unbelievable.
Yeah,
So,
I think a big part of that is like how small he is. I
yeah,
really didn't think he was going to be able to transfer that well.
right.
And then that first game against the Bruins where he scored his first goal, I was like, yeah, this kid's just going to be retarded all year.
It was insane. But in terms of the rest of the team, not many bright spots to pick from on that team last year. I was convinced that they were going to win the lottery again, honestly. So I'm pretty happy that they didn't end up taking for Celebrini again. But that kid they got at number 2 seems like he's going to be a stud as well. So
yeah. So I mean, the only real thing that happened last year, Bedard got injured, so that kind of like he was only out for like 14 games, so that kind of hurt.
I was going to say the only other news really with them last year. Were you going to say about the worm? Yeah, that's really the only other news that came out of Chicago. I feel like last year.
I still like low key wish that he did fuck Bedard's mom, just because that would have been hilarious. But I mean, I'll settle with him just sexually harassing somebody while hammered. That's like another good story.
Yeah, that'll do.
At least it led to him making his the 5th Stanley Cup final in a row where he doesn't win.
Yep, and you already know that they're going back again next year and probably
and he'll do the same fucking thing. But I guess the only other thing is just them being old, like Nick Foligno being a top 6 player at this point in his career. Who the fuck would have thought that was going to happen?
I know,
Tyler Johnson was good for 5th on the team in points. He had 31 points.
That's crazy. That's 5th on the team.
That is really, 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 really bad.
Yeah.
So even the goaltending, like Mrazek had a pretty good season as far as like save percentage wise, but still he was getting fucking peppered with shots. So
yeah, you can't you can't look into their stats all that much. They weren't getting much help. They had their hands full all year, those two guys. So they did the best they could, that's for sure.
So I guess there's like, unless we want to just beat a dead horse, just talk about how bad they were. But we'll go into the offseason additions and the subtractions.
They actually, we'll start with the subtractions, I guess. You lead it off with that.
So they're going to lose fucking Hardman and Radish. Hardman's going off to New Jersey. Taylor Radish is going off to Washington. Mackenzie Entwistle is going off to Florida. Colin Blackwell off to Dallas. Jacob Megna to Florida. Tyler Johnson signed a PTO with the Bruins. Nikita Zaitsev is still an unsigned free agent. Legend of the Bruins. Jared Tenorti, also unsigned free agent. And then Rem Pitlick, unsigned free agent. So
yeah, not too much surprise there. It seems like they're kind of getting all those older guys out of there. It's time for the young guns to start doing their thing over in Chi-Town, it looks like. So lead into that. There's not really, unless you wanted to talk about the outgoing stuff, there's not too much to pick from there.
The only guy that I like out of that list is like Mackenzie Entwistle's like a pretty usable bottom 6 guy. He can play up if you need him, but I mean, it's kind of
Lafferty's an all right signing for Buffalo too. I didn't realize they picked him up. I kind of like that signing for them. But
so he came over in that the Mikheyev trade that they made with Vancouver.
Yep.
And then he was like, they had his signing rights and they let him go.
Yeah,
So
that's
like he
weird.
went off to
He's like
Buffalo.
he's a pretty decent player as far as I'm aware, I thought, right?
Yeah, no, I like him a lot. He's like
Yeah.
fucking. He's a third liner that can like he can put the puck in the net. He had a pretty good year last year, and is like gritty, which is exactly what Buffalo needs, and Chicago too. So
Absolutely. Yeah. Leading into their incoming, they're actually pretty busy in the offseason. I expected them to make some signings, but they went a little harder, honestly, than I expected. They got Tyler Bertuzzi on a 4 times 5.5 deal. Tero Teravainen, they brought him in at 3 years at 5.5 also. TJ Brody, 2 years, 3.75. Lauren Brissois, 2 years, 3.3. Alec Martinez, who that's a really great signing, I think. Uh,
yeah, I agree.
Alec Martinez, Fat Pat, and Craig Smith, they're all coming in on 1 year deals. So kind of more just protection for Beadsy, getting that veteran leadership in, kind of building a new culture, it seems like, in Chicago post Kaner and Taves years. It seems like they're really starting to try to form their new identity, it seems like to me.
Yeah, and I mean, it seems like a big part of that identity is just becoming the Boston Bruins.
Yeah,
Taylor
pretty
Hall,
much.
Nick Foligno, Craig Smith, Fat Pat, and Tyler Bertuzzi.
It's
So
like
yeah,
it's pretty much our entire bottom six of the last 2 years is
yeah,
now
like
on Chicago.
interesting move. Bringing back Teravainen, I like a lot. Like he had a lot of success there early in his career, and then you stick him on a line with Bedsy. I think that's going to be nice. Brody and Martinez, that's some veteran D help that you're definitely going to need, especially Alec Martinez. Like the amount, like he's 2 time Stanley Cup winner, played in a ton of big games, so that's pretty big time. And
He
then
crushed he
Frost,
crushed he crushed Chicago a few times, didn't he, back in his
yeah,
prime? Yeah.
yeah, he definitely did.
So he knows a thing or two.
Yeah, and then bringing in Brossois, I really liked. He was a great backup in Winnipeg last year. His numbers were insane. His record wasn't that great, but a .927 save percentage and 2 goals against on the Jets. That's pretty solid.
Yeah, no, I like Brissois a lot. I think he's kind of been a journeyman a bit the past couple years, but I'm looking at his. Oh wait, I'm tripping. I thought his games played was his age, but still 31. Not too old for a goaltender. I think that's a solid pickup. Do they still have Mrazek and Soderblom under contract though?
Yeah, so they're both signed. So it'll just like tighten up the competition coming out of camp. I think
Yeah,
Soderblom, after the year he had last year, he'll probably just go down to the A.
yeah, he's on the younger side still too,
Yeah,
right?
and
Yeah,
Mrazek's like more of he's more of like a probably he's more of like a filler than he is a
right, like a
solver.
placeholder.
Yeah, and he's always
Yeah.
been like that in his career. But I mean, he did win the world championships this offseason, so he might be bricked up from that. Maybe he'll play a little bit better at the beginning of the season. But I do think that Brossois will probably end up starting in net.
Yeah, I really like you said, the TJ Brody and Alec Martinez, I think those are two really good signings, especially considering I will be honest, I don't know too much about the defensive prospects, but I know the last 2 years haven't they taken not beat before Beadsy, they took a defenseman in that draft, didn't they? And then this past year they took another defenseman. So they got a couple
Yeah,
studs in the pipeline there, and those guys will definitely be able to coach them up a bit.
yeah, and like they're gonna have Frank Nazar coming over. He played a couple games at the end of the year after Michigan got kicked out of the tournament. He scored his first goal. I'm pretty sure it was a nasty one, but he was a point per game player in the NCAA. Usually that transfers over pretty well,
Especially
and
as a D
especially
man.
yeah. So he's like 20 years old. That'll be nice. Artem Levnish, whatever the fuck. He was the second overall pick in the draft. Pretty solid two-way defenseman from Michigan State. He looks good all year. He's a big motherfucker too, who can move the puck, so
Yeah.
that's good for development. And then they
Are,
have the young guys on the team already, like Kevin Korchinski, who's been pretty good, Alex Vlasic. So a lot of young defensive prospects that they can lean on.
Yeah, I expect them to win a little bit more than what they did last year, but I still think they'll be kind of in that bottom tier teams. But I think maybe not the absolute bottom actually, because they actually do have some pretty decent players on that team. So who knows? Maybe if BZ plays the whole year and is going fucking crazy like he probably is going to, who fucking knows? Maybe they make make things a little interesting. But I don't expect them to be in playoffs or anything like that. I'm not saying that.
Yeah,
But
agreed.
they
I think
should be a pretty fun team, all things considered. I mean, they get some skill guys. They get some guys that'll break your fucking head open. Like, should be a pretty fun team to watch, I'd say.
I definitely agree. And then like just Bedard playing with Teravainen and Bertuzzi on the first line. I think he's
Yeah,
easily going to be point per game this year, probably over 80 points at minimum. And I think he's
absolutely.
getting close to the 40 goal mark this year.
Yeah,
So
I'm not willing to yet say that he's gonna get 40, 50, something like that. But I definitely think point per game, if not maybe even 90, pushing that 100 point mark if he gets a full 82 games in. He's unbelievable. So
and I wouldn't be surprised if they take a swing at the deadline if they're even close to being in contention. Just based off all these offseason moves, they seem to think that they're not that far away. It
that's
wouldn't
what I
shock
think.
me. They have like $6.5 million left in the cap space. Wouldn't surprise me if they take a swing and try and get somebody.
Fucking dogs.
Yep, always ruin everything. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got. The dogs ruined
The
the
dogs are
flow.
sick of us talking about Chicago, so I think we should roll it over to our next team. But we got to wrap this episode up first, right?
Yep. So we'll end this here. We did the Flames. The Canes episode is out right now.
Yep.
All the other ones that we've done. Got a YouTube playlist if you want to watch the videos. Spotify, Apple Music, TikTok, Instagram. We're everywhere.
Anything helps. Like it, comment it, share it, tell your mom about it. Let her know I sent
Yeah.
you there.
Yeah. Definitely tell your mom. Definitely tell your mom.